Hi, I'm going to run through some of the concepts you need to understand intersubjectivity, which is, I believe, what's taught in schools now. I was discussing with fun discussions about truth, and pretty good discourse because we got to the meat of the discussion really fast. And my issue is when he's talking about truth, he always sort of steps around it, doesn't want to address it. And he believes in a big T truth. And I believe in big T truth. But let's get to the point. It was pretty easy to find out when this intersubjectivity started being taught. In fact, I used a book by Stephen Hicks. Went to the chapter on education, and there it was. And let me see. What we have is a reference to this paper, and this should be the quote. This is the quote from the book on education. And this will take me about 2 minutes to read. Feel free to skip ahead. In education, postmodernism rejects the notion that the purpose of education is primarily to train a child's cognitive capacity for reason in order to produce an adult capable of functioning independently in the world. That view of education is replaced with the view that education is to take an essentially indeterminate being and give it a social identity. Education's method of molding is linguistic, and so is the language to be used, is that which will create a human being sensitive to its racial, sexual, and class identity. Our current social context, however, is characterized by oppression that benefits whites, males, and the rich at the expense of everyone else. That oppression in turn leads to an educational system that reflects only or primarily the interests of those in positions of power. This is Stephen Hicks talking. To counteract that bias, educational practice must be recast totally. Postmodern education. It's Stephen Hicks talking, but he's telling you what these education people think. Postmodern education should emphasize works not in the canon. It should focus on the achievements of non-whites, females, and the poor. It should highlight the historical crimes of whites, males, and the rich. And it should teach students that science's method has no better claim to yielding truth than any other method, and accordingly, that students should be equally receptive to alternative ways of knowing. And you can see he references this paper directly in the footnotes by Chandra Mohanty. Now, nothing really unusual about this paper. It was written in 1989. I don't think that it could have been written in 1979 because on page 82 here, they're talking about the struggle of African women and Algerian women. There's that intersubjectivity word. And the struggle of women to see their lives as meaningful, coherent, understandable. And pretty much it goes on. I'm not going to read this. It's an academic paper. It goes on to say that we have to reject pretty much, you know what it's going to say. It's going to say reject all this old stuff and build new stuff. Trust me, that's what it says. And it doesn't really say truth. This is the paper. It doesn't really say truth. What it does say is this intersubjectivity. And I believe that's going to take me to a second part of this video. Intersubjectivity is what they're teaching in schools today. And I guess I can go more into detail about this paper, but trust me, you have the idea. I mean, if you've been to school in the last while and a half, this is not what they were teaching in 1979. This is what this person wrote in 1989, and what really they're teaching now. And I hope you're looking forward to my next video. Thank you.